My name is Aaron Wilder, and I started Tabletop Farm 5 years ago. It's just been me for most of the time, and just hired an employee last year for the first time. But we've just been progressing slowly every year with increasing our production and dealing with becoming more efficient in our ways of growing vegetables, harvesting vegetables, and selling them, and also maintaining the stewardship of the land in a way that we can continue for a while without it being any kind of hindrance, but also being a real benefit to our production. We've got a lot of community support because it is in the neighborhoods, and we've been able to farm different plots of land here in Point Reyes. So we're up to 5 plots now in almost 12 acres, and I've got a few different tractors to help with the logistics of all of that, because there's a lot of moving equipment around. It's not your traditional kind of whatever size farm and then you just get out and start plowing. I find the day-to-day challenges to be rewarding because it's something that I can do on my own with a lot of help from others in the community. It's a real collaborative endeavor. And a big part of it is really the community, because I don't have a background in farming. My family wasn't in agriculture, or at least it skipped a generation. My grandfather grew up on a farm, but I didn't know exactly what I was doing when I started, and still kind of feel like I don't. For the last 5 years, we've been doubling every year our acreage and production capacity, and this year was really significant because every year of doubling is doubling in production and output, but also doubling in potential income, but then also doubling in costs. I've decided for next year to not double, to just kind of stay stable, learn how to dial in some of the systems on the farm, and just focus on my signage and publicity and getting people to learn about the farm. The main focus on the diversification is probably just the amount of crops that I started out with. I just grow vegetable crops and some berries like strawberries and raspberries. And I started out with about 75 or 80 different crops that I was growing, which is a little bit much actually for me to handle. And I realized after that first year that maybe it would be better if I had more of a consistent production with certain vegetables that different markets desired. I've just whittled it down to about 40 different crops over the last 5 years. I think where diversification has really helped me and my farm is because of our small size. I'm able to diversify my market, where I sell my produce. So if I were a much bigger farm, I might just have one distribution that I sell to a big organic distributor or something like that. But because we're so small, I started out with the CSA, which didn't work out the first year. And so we started a little farm stand that was on the honor system that the CSA members could come to and just get their produce as it was in supply. That really took off, and everybody started coming to that, and that gave me some hope. And then we had a little bit of an excess that first year, so then we started selling to some of the restaurants in town. It's nice to have reliable markets that are local, so I don't have to deliver very far, and that can pay a certain margin so that I don't undercut myself. I've worked in the corporate world for a while and in government, and I find that having a more direct connection to what sustains you as far as where my income comes from is very it's a great experience. I didn't have a real background in farming, but my grandfather grew up on a big farm in Kansas, and they grew soybeans and corn, and then they had beef cattle in a small dairy operation. So that's kind of diversified. So a lot of things were back then. And he used to tell me stories of growing up on the farm, and I think that if he were still alive, he would be really proud and also a little bit bewildered, like why I would do that. But I do think about my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and that there's a connection there too in time and space and everything that feels like it's something important to keep going.